Call meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
And one thing that is the new part-time help is Maren. I think we have Madeline. Maren Helps and M-A-R-E-N.
Okay.
You just got stuck in there, Ron. I got it. Okay, is it okay? Approve with the change? Okay. Do we have a motion, and Jeff, you're a second then?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as amended and corrected. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda. Any additions or to the agenda?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries and the agenda is adopted as printed. Roger, good evening.
As most of us know, that the sound panels in the big meeting room turned out very well. And I guess I'm here to ask about putting them in the historic room, although in all honesty, I've already started the process. So,
Nothing's hung yet, but you got people coming to at least measure and get us some prices again, so.
I would estimate it's gonna be $6,000 to $7,000 for the historic room. So, just judging by how much it was for the big meeting room.
Has everybody had a chance to go down and listen to it? I mean, I guess in my mind, I think it's helped quite a bit. But
Yeah, I think it's helped. Everybody who's been in there said it's helped a lot.
Okay.
And yeah, I think so too.
It has in the historical room, I think, in my opinion, needs it more than the big meeting room.
Yeah.
It will benefit more, so I guess I'd make a motion that Roger go ahead and continue with that project for the historical room.
Okay. We have a motion?
I'll second,
Second.
but as a question on that, are we approving, him to go forward and do the whole thing, or are we still going to approve?
I think the thing would be we're basically approving him to go get bids and then bring the bids back to us.
Then that's, yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay? Because
I just wanted to clarify what it was we were.
basically the bid is the one company, because that's the only company that does it, so.
Yeah.
But then when you get a price, you'll bring it back to us, right? Just,
In case I'm fine with it.
Continue exploring and bring us back a price, so. Okay, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. I figured that'd be easier.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
Steve?
Well, yes, I would like to purchase a GPS receiver that would, make any data we collected more accurate than, than like your phone or tablet. And they sent one out to me to try last month, and it seemed to work well. Or, talk to Kevin. The big project next spring would be, collecting culverts and things on the roads, but would be useful for everything else, that we would collect. The highway signs, but could also be used by the tax office and emergency manager.
So it's gonna be useful basically for geo-referencing any kind of inventory we have.
Yeah, because, right now if you went out with your, we don't really have a GPS right now, dedicated, accurate. accurate GPS. So,
We can basically spot stuff
You're-
up like our
you're with-
smartphones and that's about it.
yeah, you're maybe within 30 feet, but you don't really know how accurate it is.
How accurate is this down to? Or I guess it didn't.
It can be, it says meter, I guess is sub-meter, but
Okay.
So
And that was-
3 feet, give or take.
yeah, so.
That's not
it
too
was
bad.
telling me it was 60 centimeters at some point.
Paul, Kevin doesn't have a high handheld GPS, not that you know, maybe it's not.
We did, but it got traded to the city.
Oh, okay.
It was not functioning well, and so the city,
knew
I don't know
somebody
what
had one.
the agreement, or what happened, what the trade was, but
We gave them a GPS and they gave
yeah,
us
they have
couple
it now.
shovels or something.
And to send it off to get repaired,
Mhm.
which, and,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's the cost on this?
2020.
And I would assume that you have money in your budget for equipment like this, right?
Yeah, I guess this is like the 2,500 that the city paid for maintenance fee, so it usually just gets carried over, but I guess it's going away next year because we have that agreement in place.
Is that with that ArcGIS stuff and?
Yeah, the
Okay.
parcel viewer software.
Sure.
There's no subscription with this then?
No, it's,
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Steve buying a Trimble R1 receiver for
Should be
multiple uses.
very cool.
Further discussion. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried.
I don't know, is that, should that be roll call since we're spending money, or is it?
Well, we're just approving the buy until we actually cut the check, right? We roll call. Correct?
It'll be on the list of bills.
Okay. We can approve buying it, we don't have to roll call the approval of the buy. So,
Perfect.
well, yeah, it's under the.
Well, we all voted aye anyway, so.
I think we're okay. Okay. What time is it? No, can't do foreclosure sale yet. Thanks, Steve.
yeah, thank you.
Move down, Crystal, can you do yours in 6 minutes?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Okay, do you want to quickly review the policy changes that we've,
We can do that quickly.
okay. The first one is the introductory period. And how that one came about was at the Association of Counties Conference, the HR meeting that came up. This policy was one of them that they discussed. And so how county policies started was they started with state policies. And they got put, that was what counties used. And so this introductory period came from them state policies. So, and being we're at will employment, this introductory period kind of contradicts that. So I'd like to eliminate it.
So moved.
What you want to do is, how many do you have, Crystal?
I just have two policies.
Two, okay, we'll do them separately then, that's okay. We have a motion to approve eliminating the introductory period policy. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Further discussion on the motion?
The next,
No further discussion, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next one.
the next one's the holidays.
Please read them.
The major changes in this one is for that, when the Christmas falls on Tuesday, to give the full day Monday and Tuesday off. And after that come down from the governor, I started looking at other county policies, and a lot of them are they have that in there, the Monday and Tuesday are off, right in their policy. But that wasn't the reason why I looked at this policy. The reason why I looked at this policy was because on the last page there, it has where they have to be last scheduled the preceding day and then the day after the holiday. And that was a conflict for the sheriff's department, and then of course for some of Kevin's department also. So what they were basically saying that they wanted unpaid leave. If somebody's on unpaid leave, that they wouldn't get the holiday pay. So I just wrote that in there instead. So, and then I thought it was important to say if an employee works a holiday, how we're gonna pay them for working a holiday. So I also added that in there. So then were the major changes to that policy.
Okay. Any questions on that one? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the policy change?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the policy change. Further discussion? The second policy is first one. Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of the change, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Okay?
You need me to be done for a while, or can I keep?
No, you got 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll just give you a quick update about what I've been doing. The last department headed meeting, we did FMLA training, that's the Family Medical Leave Act training, and the reason why that came about was because when something was coming up with an employee, and I'd be discussing with the department head, they were kind of like, what is FMLA? So it was kind of, I was finding that a lot didn't really understand what the whole FMLA regulation was, so I felt the training was important to get out there, because they're that first line with our employees. So that was the reason for that. Also, we did the breakfast for the employees this morning, and that was all covered by department heads and then a few commissioners. So I've gotten a lot of good feedback from that today. So that was a really good thing for our morale and kind of breaking down the department silos we got going on. So next, I'm going to be working on the hiring process. And that's kind of a lengthy process because that deals with revamping our application, getting that updated, and the recruitment of where we're advertising, because that's written in the policy right now. And I feel that needs to be revised. How we're doing our selection process to make sure we're covering our bases there with the equal opportunity employment. So our drug testing policy, on how that's done for pre-employment, and then of course background checks, how we're doing them currently. So I want to review all of these areas, and then of course the interview process. So that's what I'll be working on then.
Yeah.
So that's all. Does anybody have questions? I'd like to thank you guys too for my upping my hours for January. I think that'll be beneficial for getting things moved forward again. So.
Yeah, in a minute. The other thing I would mention is Crystal and I have been talking, Cavalier County approached her about working 8 hours a week for them, just so everyone on the commission is aware of it. It sounds like it might be a goal. The question would be is, do they employ her separately, or do we do something like a share with the VSO? And none of that's been worked out yet. So the commission up in Cavalier is gonna decide how they wanna do things, and then they'll contact us if that's the route they wanna go. So we'll deal with that as it comes, I guess. But Crystal brought it to me before she went and talked with them, and I said, I don't see any problem why, you know.
Physically want you to come to Langdon then?
Yeah, for 1 day out of the week.
Not over the internet, no, just
Yeah.
want you there.
Yeah, they physically want her in the building for 1 day a week.
No,
So-
that's,
And I thought, you know, there's absolutely no problem if we do that with other departments. And if they wanna do that, they thought that'd be,
Yeah, well, let's see what kind of an overture they make us. And
kind of open there, so. Okay.
And again, great job this morning, you
Yeah.
and the department heads.
That was very nice.
You know, it turned out really well,
Yeah.
so.
Thanks.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get myself positioned here so we can move that to the foreclosure sale. Okay. Do I need to use this for anything? That's just for purposes of information? I don't have to read the terms of the sale, do I? Since we had it posted? Okay. So the terms of the sale, we have obviously everything posted there. We are going to go through each forfeited property one by one, and then obviously anybody that has the list there, we've got a minimum sale price on each one of the parcels.
Everybody needs a list.
Yeah, anybody anybody needs a list, don't hesitate to come grab one as well as the terms of sale. So basically how we run this is, like I said, we'll go through each of the parcels, ask for a minimum bid. If anybody wants it, if nobody wants it, we'll move on to the next parcel, and then if there's a bidding war, then I'll auctioneer a little bit maybe. I don't know how that'll work. Do you have a Carl? There we go. So, I'll start at the beginning and just read it real quick so we can essentially open the sale. So, notice is hereby given that the following real estate has been forfeited to the county of Ramsey, state of North Dakota for delinquent taxes. That said county has taken tax deed to such property and will offer it for sale at public auction at the county commissioner's room, first floor, 525 4th Avenue Northeast, Ramsey County Courthouse, Devils Lake, North Dakota, on Tuesday, November 20th, 2018 at 5:45 p.m. Each parcel of real estate will be offered separately and sold to the highest bidder, but not for a sum less than minimum sale price listed below. The sale will continue from day to day until completed. So, with that, are there any questions on the sale? Seeing none, we'll move on, and Steve will be putting the parcels up on the screen as we go along here, I believe. So, we'll start with first listing, Ontario Township, parcel 22 4010 06749 000, which is lot 1, block 3 of Southam Town Site. A minimum sale price of $60. Would anybody like to bid on that parcel? Nope? Okay, moving on. I'm not gonna put the parcel number anytime, I'll just give you the description. Seconds up for sale. Ontario Township, lot 2, block 3 of the Southam Town Site, $60 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the third. Again, Ontario Town Site, lot 3, or Ontario Township, lot 3, block 3 of the Southam Town Site, $60 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next one, Ontario Township, lot 4, block 3, Southam Town Site, $60 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next one, Ontario Township, lot 5, block 3, Southam Town Site, $60 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Ontario Township, lot 6, block 3, Southam Town Site, minimum sale price of $60. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, now we're moving here. Okay, Brockett City, lots 10 and 11 of block 2, a minimum sale price of $75. Do we have any bidders?
I can give you 75 for it.
We have one bidder for $75. Do we have any further bids?
100.
We have a $100 bid. Any further bids?
We'll go 150.
Okay, 150,
200.
200,
3.
3. Would you like to raise your bid? No. Do we have any further bids? Seeing none, sold for $300. Do we need a name now, or? Okay. You gotta give your name to Nathan there, please, so we can write it down.
Denise Davis.
Denise Davis, $300. Okay. Okay, on to the next one then. Brockett City, lots 12 through 14, block 2, minimum sale price of $200. Do we have any bids?
We're gonna be the 2.
Okay, have a bid for 200. Any further bids?
500.
500. Do we have any further bids? Would you like to raise your bid?
I'll give you 6.
6.
Good enough.
Good enough. He's dropping out at 6. Okay, any further bids? Seeing none, sold for $600. Denise Davis again. Okay. Okay, City of Devils Lake. West half of lot 7 and lot 8, block 26, $10,000 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Come on, we even dropped the price on that one. No bids. Okay. Devils Lake City, lots 8 and 9 of block 157 with a minimum sale price of $2,375. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Edmore City, lots 5 and 6, block 4, $600 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? I'm probably moving too fast for Steve to catch up. Oh, you're on it. No bids, we'll move on. Again, Edmore City, lot 2, block 5, minimum sale price of $130. Do we have any bids for that one? Seeing none, we'll move on. Edmore City again, lot 3, block 5, $130 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Edmore City again, lot 6, block 9, minimum price of $600. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Edmore City again, beginning at the southwest corner of the north block 26, 1/2, etc. home edition, I guess. $175 minimum bid. Do we have any bid? Up there? Oh, okay. What are we selling our road or what? Really? It's not public domain? Interesting. Okay, no bids.
Yeah, well, it looks like it.
Maybe the city should be buying that.
It's a toll booth.
Toll road in Edmore.
Mm-hmm.
That's right next to my,
You make pennies a year?
that's right next to my mother and father-in-law's. They probably wouldn't be happy if we actually buy it, put a toll road on. Okay, moving on. Edmore City, lot 7, block 1, Julian subdivision, 22, home edition. $600 minimum sale price. Do we have any bidders? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. Edmore City, lot 13, block 36, Strand subdivision, 36, home edition. $125 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, now we're at Hamden City, lots 19 through 21, block 15, Stoltz's second edition, $550 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none. Now we are in Lawton City, lots 9 through 12, block 1, $1,250 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids?
No bid.
Okay. Got a bid for the minimum $1,250. Any further bids? Seeing none, sold, sir. Name please, so we can.
Lewis Weber.
Lewis Weber, okay. Thank you. Okay, next one, Lawton City again. Lot 6, block 2, $350 minimum bid. Do we have any bids?
No bid, yeah.
Okay. Minimum $350 bid. Any further bids? Seeing none, sold, sir. Okay, Lawton again. Lots 14 and 15, block 2, $700 minimum bid. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay. Lawton City, lot 17, block 5, $350 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Lawton City, lot 18, block 5, $300 minimum bid. Do we have any bids? Okay, move on. Lawton City, lot 19, block 5, $350 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, we'll move on. Lawton City, lot 20, block 5, $350 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. Lot and City, Lot 21, Block 5, $350 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Lot and City, Lot 22, Block 5, $350 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Seeing none, we'll move on. Lot and City, Lot 15, Block 6, $275. Do we have any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Lot and City, Lot 3, Block 2, East Lawton. $375 minimum sale price. Any bids? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Is there an East Lawton and a West Lawton?
Just east.
Lot and City, Lot 12, Block 1, First Edition to East Lawton. $375 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids?
No bid on that.
Okay. Minimum bid of $375. Do we have any further bids? Seeing none, sold. $375. Okay, Lot and City, lots 19 through 22, Block 9 of Stoltz's First Edition. $625 minimum sale price. Do we have any bids? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Last auction, or last item, Starkweather City, Lot 6, Block 45 for $2,425. Do we have any bids? Okay. Seeing none, that concludes our auction of foreclosure properties. Handling payments. Nathan will be over in the office right next door if you want to go over and handle it right when we're done here. Thank you everyone for bidding. I'll need a motion from the commissioners to accept the sale prices then.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the sale prices and on the foreclosure sale. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You guys are kind of slow on the uptake today. We're all kind of maybe I'm just moving too fast. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. How you doing? Doing well. How you doing?
Okay.
That's my type
Okay, the final hearing on the alcohol ordinance cannot happen until 6:15, so that's when it's published. So we will skip down to.
Hi, Jen. Sorry to interrupt, I haven't seen some of these guys in a long time. Dad knew I was gonna be here, so he wanted me to tell you hello.
Say hi to him for me. will you,
I will,
please?
sweetie.
Thank you.
Okay, on to new business then. Approval of the raffle permit.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the raffle permit. I can't remember what Sportsman's Club.
We gotta do the final hearing on, I guess, 6.
Okay, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You guys are better on that one. Good job. Discussion on the joint powers agreement for the Veterans Services Officer. We'll do that first. Let me get my paperwork here so I can talk about it.
Everybody's all right with it?
Well, we have to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it.
What do you do now?
Well, basically, here's where we're at. Nelson County, they haven't contacted me, but their auditor has talked to Candy. They'd like to readdress it, as would Benson County. They both would like to rework the agreement. I haven't asked Benson where they're at on it. I think Nelson, like I said, I haven't talked to Nelson either because I was waiting to get the numbers on the census because that's how we based it last time. Stacy just got them to me today, so I haven't had a chance to talk with either of the counties. Benson was gonna meet about it, figure out what they wanted to do and talk to us, I guess. I think what they're thinking is they'd like to cut from that full day to like a half day possibly, is kind of what Stacy was saying.
So they only pay for half?
Well, we haven't ever set it on how many days you're at the facility. It's always been on share of veterans on the census is how we set it last time. So I don't know if that would, and that's a discussion that has to happen in terms of how it affects the share. I think Nelson is just looking to possibly just decrease their costs. But I honestly haven't talked to
They didn't say.
They just said they won't pay any more
than what they had
than
budgeted
what they
previously.
had budgeted previously.
I think part of it is,
And that's what they paid last year?
yes. But the
So
thing,
they'll stay there.
So they're not,
yeah, but I think their concern is that, we put in a 2% cost of living plus a step.
Oh,
And they don't wanna cover the
and
difference,
they don't wanna cover.
is what it comes down to.
they didn't give theirs cost of living and 2% or? I should have asked them that last time I was there.
Same.
Yeah, and like I said, I haven't talked to them, because the only thing I would say, and if it does, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to revisit where we're at on percentages, but we should have done it back in July, before we set budgets. The one thing I would say is, in visiting with Candy about it, is we do have additional dollars in the budget, because we, budgeted for that 3 months basically of extra position, and that never occurred, so we do have a few dollars if we do have to take on a little more expense.
Are they aware of how many people he sees that live in Ramsey County? I mean, his list, Benson, Nelson, people come here and see them. Because it fits their schedule or whatever, but
Well, and he did mention too that a lot of them come here because it's more handicap accessible.
And I
right, well, yeah, I was in Benson County this morning.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I think that's part of Benson's concern, is they know people are coming here anyway,
Yeah.
and it's not handicapped accessible very well there for anybody, so they figure why not just have him half a day there. And
Yeah, changing that, to me, it makes perfect sense if they want to do that, but as far as changing the cost, if Nelson wants to go that way. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, at the end of the day, we basically have all the cards here, right? Unless I'm missing something.
Wish I had that 2 weeks ago, I had a visit
yeah, and it
when I
just,
was there.
yeah, it just came up, well, I've known for about a week, but I guess I should have talked about it last night, I forgot.
But I mean, you didn't have it at that point.
Well, I didn't have the census numbers either.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is,
No, that's all right.
in looking at the census numbers, previously, we were on a 50, us, 30 Benson, 20 Nelson split, okay? And the actual census count at that point was about 51% Ramsey, 25% Benson, 23% Nelson. So we tried to get it as close as we could. Benson, I think, was willing to take a little bit more on the share because they got the full day versus the half day that Nelson was taking. So we were actually getting a little bit of a deal, but in the grand scheme of things, we had to do all the extra work of rolling the stuff in. So on the census, and that was the 2012 census is what we based it off of when we set the initial agreement, I believe. The new census, the newest one we have is 2017, and we do have more veterans on the percentages now. So instead, we're now at 58%, Benson's at about 23.5, and Nelson's at about 18.
And they each are paying like 20% of the deal.
Right now, Benson's paying 30 and Nelson's paying 20. So I don't think it's necessarily out of the question that maybe we could go like 60, 20, 20.
Okay, want me to make a motion?
Well, and what it comes down to is they're gonna have to agree to it, and Nelson's not gonna pay a dime more is what they're saying. So if they're gonna be stuck at 20% still,
Did they just come up to this realization, or did they?
just last week when Candy told me.
I guess the agreement is, like a November or January 1 to,
I suppose they
December
didn't,
end.
I suppose they didn't think about it until they thought, well, we gotta re-up the agreement. I think what we need to do is, we've always done it year end.
right.
Maybe we should still have it enacted the year end, but we should have it set so we readdress it in July when we're budgeting.
When we're budgeting,
And that's,
Mayor Loy was the chairman in Nelson.
yeah, and like I said, I haven't talked to him simply because I didn't have any of the numbers yet to see what the situation was.
Do you want to visit with him?
I think that's how we approach it, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was on board, they knew what was happening, number
Okay.
one.
Well, I think.
And number two, everyone
Talk to Mayor.
has an idea where we're coming from.
Hammered out.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if we have to all sit down and have a conversation about it, the first time I thought it was rather amiable last time. It started off tense, but we came to an agreement and understanding, so.
Well, and
It's
all.
needed, I mean, it's needed.
Well, and I'll be honest, in terms of, and visiting with Stacy about it, you know, what it comes down to is, it's cost, I don't have the costs, I do actually, in terms of what's Nelson's cost right now. Yeah, Nelson's cost right now for their portion of the salary is $9,700. So they've got $9,700 budgeted for the salary plus some office expense, I would guess. And they're getting a half a day plus him over here the rest of the time, or 3.5 days.
2%.
How are they ever gonna hire someone for $10,000
They're not,
for a half a day and train them to know what they're doing
they're not.
anywhere
That's-
close to what Stacy knows what he's doing?
That's
They're
why
not.
we have all the cards, you know, that's my point. is-
Well,
But you know, if the census numbers have changed and that's what our agreement is on, then we'll change the numbers, right?
so,
That's
and,
fine.
yeah, the state century code states that each county must appoint a VSO, provide an office and equipment, up to 2 mils can be spent.
Why don't we leave it like this, Adam, you go ahead and make a deal with me. Benson don't need to, they're all right with it?
Well, I think they're gonna talk about wanting to drop that half day, but I mean, I think if we're willing to say, okay, we'll move our percentage up a little, because we do have more of the census and more of the capture, it'll save them some money going from that 30 down to the 25, they'll probably agree to whatever, I guess. So, I can talk to, I don't even know who their chair is, I think Ron's gonna be their chair
Mike.
next year. Mike is now, so we can talk to Mike, we can talk to Ron or whoever, and we can get that hammered out, but I just wanted it out there so everybody knew what was happening before we went and tried to get it hammered out, so.
Hammer out something.
Okay, that's what we'll do then.
You want a motion on that, or? No.
No, I don't think we need a motion. I'll talk to the chairs of the other commissions and we'll try to get something figured out, so. Okay,
I apologize for coming in late, because I was in jail.
oh,
Inspection was today,
oh,
and
yeah,
they started, they were supposed to start at 4. They didn't get started till 4:30, and
oh, I should
the
have,
boys got a little too long-winded.
I should-
It went good, went good,
Good.
well.
Good.
If you wanna hear the whole go over, we're gonna do it in the morning at 8, so, at a regular meeting.
okay. Well, Mike will be there tomorrow, so maybe you can bring it up with him too. I mean, I can talk to him.
Mike?
Steph.
Yeah.
Be at the meeting tomorrow, so just give him a
I
heads
can
up
bring
on it, yeah. Give him a heads up, I can give him a call too, so. Okay, approval of the community development block grant, paperwork for the LEC for their handicap accessible entrance. We had the hearing at 5 o'clock and nobody came, so I guess everyone's okay with it. So we just have to approve a signature, correct?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve signing the paperwork for the block grant for the LEC entrance. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You have anything to add, Paul? Nothing fun? Kevin's not here today. He didn't have anything in the folder, did he? Or in the packet? I didn't recall seeing anything, so.
Most of everything's going good over there.
Seems to be. Yeah, let me get my stuff figured out here. Okay, visitors and delegations. Excuse me, seeing none?
One thing, sorry.
Oh,
All of a sudden you decided you need one of these.
okay, we got 5 minutes, so if anybody have any announcements?
The state fair deal. Incredibly interesting, a lot of information, a lot of numbers that was presented to us. 4-H and FFA continue to have an incredible number of exhibits and exhibitors. 4-H had a total 4-H participation of 10,227 exhibits. FFA was 23,789. 72 chapters, FFA chapters participated, most in the past 22 years, or 29 years for FFA. So, Renee spoke about needing assistance from just spectators. As you come to the fair, be aware of your surroundings and report anything suspicious to deputies. Next, August 7th, they're going to have the National Family Motor Coach Convention. And Renee says they cover wall-to-wall, gate-to-gate, entrance-to-entrance with motorhomes and carpet. So she said it's quite a event and quite a spectacular deal, and so they're really pleased about being able to get that on their fairgrounds again for next year. Money-wise, premiums all comes from the state legislature. So, wasn't aware of that. 100% go back for exhibits. They had 650 commercial spaces, 318,248 people came through the gates, 60 plus food stands. Yeah, so, boom.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff, very, very, very interesting. If anybody, I think I brought a book for the commission as well.
Yeah, the one here, if anybody wants to look at it. Yeah, and on a related note to that, not state fair necessarily, but Jeff and I this morning were talking with Bill, and we're up to, what did he say? 150 some 4-H kids. We're counting
This county.
just in Ramsey County, and it's getting to the point where some of the clubs are getting really big. So we're gonna hopefully can get some more leaders and
Need
everything.
some more leaders, yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
So that's a good problem to have.
Very appreciative of leaders.
Yeah, very much so. You got,
Put on something for them.
would be a horrible idea. And when you've got all those kids and you're getting them involved, that's the most important part.
And then Extension had their advisory council or committee meet last night at the fairgrounds, and which is really very impressive for the size of the community there we have and the support that office has, that entity. There was, I think, 10 or so of us involved there last night. There was a couple missing, but to get that kind of an attendance for a quarterly meeting on the coldest day so far of the year, I think says a lot about that program and the community's support for it. So I mentioned that to Bill and Cindy and Sarah last night. We're all there, and hats off to them. But we'll be reminded as the legislative session comes around, budgeting requests for NDSU, 4-H. This is a good little bookmarker that Bill passed out yesterday. 4-H delivered by NDSU has more than 6,400 youth, more than 2,500 volunteer leaders, about 27,000 youth are reached on an annual basis through 4-H activities statewide. So
It's worth the money.
Yeah.
Good.
Very much so. So sorry for taking up some time, but
Do you have anything you wanted to add, or you were gonna say something? Okay, yeah, we got it. I'll wait 30 seconds. Excuse me. Let's clean the calendar out over there. We're short.
Benson County was like 45 minutes late with their sale today, so.
Oh, really?
They had the opioid, they had
Oh.
thin ones. I wasn't even in there, you can't get in the room. More like 4 chairs in there, other than the commissioner.
I just wanted to let you guys know that about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we approved what's called an STR grant. And there are different categories of grant that we could choose that we wanted to participate in. And we chose Narcan, and we chose a peer-to-peer program, which means that Rob Johnson's already been involved with this as far as the reentry center. It would not involve working with anybody that's already incarcerated, but even more importantly, it would work with the school system and the judicial system here, that people, it's basically for people that are on the wrong track. They haven't become incarcerated yet, but they're certainly heading that way. And we have funds now to pay peer, we had 12 of them in the community that have already been trained. We basically need to work on a referral program. So Judge Fowdy came down to my office and talked to me about it. I talked to the high school and the middle school. And, you know, this has been a proven program across the country there. This is kind of a missing link. You know, we don't have tons of money for behavioral health to sit down with all these people that might be having issues, particularly young people. But talking to somebody who's been there and done that once or twice a week, an hour once or twice a week, and checking in and having that relationship could make a tremendous difference for somebody who's kind of taken the wrong turn, and hopefully get them back on track. So we're really excited about that.
Good. Well, since it is 6:15 now, we will open up the final hearing on the alcohol beverage ordinance. We don't have anybody from the public here currently, but just for an explanation's sake, again, well,
It was just the revised
oh,
copy.
yeah, just the revised copy was on our desks. Basically, same thing. We're pulling out the Sunday licensing things because they changed that in the last legislative session to be up to date. We're pulling out the beverage permit for Sundays, taking out the cashing of checks portion. It's not really applicable anymore. Adding in responsible server training as a mandatory portion of the ordinance, setting it at 75 days of employment it must be completed by. We also put in, obviously, by the Ramsey County Sheriff or designee, so if we don't have a class available from the sheriff, the city can also have, a PD can do it, but I think we're in the process of getting a couple of deputies on board, so that's a good deal to get additional things there. And then the only thing we had a question on after the last hearing was the portion on entertainment, and state's attorney went and fixed that section D where we had questions and wrote in about the maintaining of a file and keeping licenses, photo identification and everything on premises, so if there's a problem, it can be pulled by the sheriff's department to double check and make sure that everything is on the up and up. So that's pretty much where we're at. Fixes that section, basically back to where I think we thought we were supposed to be when we passed it in 15 or 16 or whatever it was. I don't even remember anymore. So, any discussion on the alcohol ordinance as a whole?
I just want to say thank you so much, Liz, for pushing this and bringing it to our attention. You know, I think that this is going to improve safety in the county for a lot of people, and it probably wouldn't have happened for a number of more years if you hadn't come and advocated for it. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to review it and give us your feedback. And you know, I think this is much needed, and I think it's a good decision for the county.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, we would need a motion to accept the ordinance as presented, correct? And close the hearing at the same time.
I would make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to close the hearing and accept the ordinance and adopt the ordinance as presented.
I'll second that.
And a second. Further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries and the ordinance is adopted and the hearing is closed.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We don't have anything else on the agenda. I don't think that I have any announcements.
I have one really quick one. The Heritage Center, me personally, conducted an interview for a new director after the last one took a job with the Chamber of Commerce. I gave my recommendation to the board that we extend an offer of employment, and that offer of employment was accepted. And so I think we're going to have a very talented person go back to full-time after the first of the year, and perhaps the best news of all was, after adding in the salary that we had agreed to, we're going to potentially be running a net positive budget for the first time in over a decade without needing to dip into reserves. So I'm very pleased about that, very excited about things moving forward, and I'll keep you up to date. When I can let you know who the individual's name is, it's just that that individual has another employed, they're employed elsewhere. I don't want to put them in a sticky situation. But I wanted to let you all know that that has happened, so that's my only announcement.
I was just looking at this DOT thing they put on our desk here. Trying to figure out what this is. Oh, so if we want additional counts in different places in the county, which would be on a state road, I would guess. Or this is all county roads?
I think they've done them on county roads too.
So we could ask them to put additional traffic counters out,
I think so.
and I'm sure
But
Kevin's on top of that, but.
It looks like, according to that one paragraph, if you have a dozen or less sites to count, the DOT can do them for you. If you need additional counts, DOT does not have enough counters, they'll be loaned out. So, as long as you just have a couple of them, they can do them for you,
There you go.
so.
That would be a question for Paul, I guess. When we do traffic counts, obviously the infrastructure bill that's possibly gonna be going through the legislature, and all of the different things where we're talking about how much money we need going forward is set off of that UGPTI, or UGPTI study. Is that set off of these counts or the counts we get? Do you know? Because obviously we count ourselves too.
Right, I don't know if the UGPTI would have had those, so unless they haven't given to them.
Okay, so it's probably the DOT number, so maybe,
Yeah, and they just took a sampling of the roads, they haven't counted every road, they haven't looked at the condition of every road, they just.
Yeah. I'm just kinda curious, maybe it would be,
They
somewhat
might take-
beneficial to ask them if they're only doing 4 spots or something to do more, I don't know, just curious.
Yeah, I don't know, and I guess they took, when they did that study, they only took like one road of a certain type and then applied that same factor to all the roads like that. They didn't drive every road or anything like that.
Okay, I was just kinda curious.
At least with the first round of the study, I don't know if it got expanded after that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's still done.
Yeah, it's just, I think their study is good, it's just we put a lot of credence into it on these funding formulas and everything, just so, the better data we can give them, I suppose, to show how much count we have. I suppose it could be a double-edged sword, we could probably go, well, we thought there were more cars driving this.
Yeah.
Back it down too, but at the end of the day, you wanna make sure they have good data, because that's gonna help them figure out what our needs are gonna be, those kind of things, so.
And I think the DOT uses 2 tube counters, so you get classification too, and I think the county's counters are just single tube.
Oh,
So it just gives you the axles. You just divide it by 2 or whatever to get the cars. You don't know if it's a semi or a car.
What's your plan out on Highway 2 while you're ready in town or do a lot of surveying?
I think that's for the concrete pavement repair project that's coming up. Civil science, I think, is doing the surveying and design.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
they're
think
gonna
they might
do
do some stuff with the 2 intersections getting tore up.
yeah.
They weren't done with the 2004 project that rebuilt Highway 2 through town, because they were in pretty good shape still then, but it's been another, maybe 15 years this fall.
It's hard to believe it's been 15 years since that project was done.
Yeah.
Seems like yesterday that we're going through that, but.
Just one thing there about the jail, they met with Nelson County and Benson this morning. They seem to be on board with that $260,000 excess of what I bid, so. And Towner County, Tooner called me this morning and they're on board, so. We haven't hammered out a final agreement, but I think we'll have one in the morning.
How we're gonna split costs and everything.
And Eddie County Commissioner Call got beat and I anticipate him being in there in the morning, so we're gonna try to hammer something out with him before he's off, but, and then our inspection today, in a nutshell, we're not gonna hear today, tomorrow, but it's gonna be, I would say 2 weeks, because Worlinger is not gonna be in the office next week, and they have to go back and go over it with Birch and Sailor. Sit down as a group along with their lawyers, so. And I tried to get a deadline on it, first week of December. But I couldn't get that Lance Anderson to bite, but I'm not gonna try anymore from the front of the board, I won't try. I kinda think we'll have an idea here first days of December. And everything went good, real good. I mean, they went through the whole 108 policies and all that, so, and everything went real good, so. And I was there for the whole go-through on that, so.
Has Marshal Service ever indicated the number of prisoners they may have available?
Not a number, no.
Um,
Generally, it's a dozen. That's kind of what's been in the past,
Okay,
if I remember right. But the BIA is very, very interested. They
okay,
would come, as soon as the closure notice is done, I honestly believe they'll be there in a couple of days.
wow,
Because they've got a lot of transporting they're doing, and they want to get away from that, so. And they have no problem paying the same amount of money as the feds are paying, so
True.
75. So. And they have money already allocated for this. So. But I think, I'm not speaking too early, but that's kind of when we're going to hear, I think, 'cause I would say the 10th of December, I think we'll have an answer. And I believe it'll be favorable. I did talk to Worlinger last week on the phone, he called me and they want to get us off.
Sure good. It's beneficial to them if they can get a,
But they can't do anything these two today, I mean, they gotta go back and talk to the people about them and the lawyers. There's lawyers involved when they get back on this, so.
that's what's taking so long.
you over there?
Billable hours.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I was gonna think, social services last night, we didn't do anything
No,
exciting, so.
well, Benson County brought it up to me this morning.
Well, they did.
Yes,
Okay.
and I threw out the fact that, well, we talked about the two boards, the social service boards meeting,
Okay.
like we talked about last night, and yeah, they seem to be all right with
Okay,
that.
yeah, just, I guess, since
Yeah.
we're talking about, we'll fill everybody in. Benson County, obviously, I don't know who's all seen the maps and everything, but the 2206, they're looking at a redesign for social services. Under that redesign, they're looking at the possibility of going to units. So trying to share services more, and kind of in a conglomerated community type structure. And Benson County, under those original maps, was zoned in with us, simply because it kind of makes sense to a point. So Ron Carlson, one of the commissioners from Benson, contacted me, and he's on there, I don't know if he's on the social services board or not, but about starting those discussions about maybe merging them into our district, but that's as far as it's up to this point. We're just gonna get together and talk about it and see where we're at, so.
The feeling I got from the rest of the commissioners over there this morning, they're in favor of it. I mean, we didn't stay on it very long at all,
Yeah,
but
just-
after we talked about the law enforcement, and they brought it up to me,
Okay.
in fact, Stefan brought it up.
Okay.
And so I just
Yeah,
I
so,
told them what we talked about last night, and I think that would be a good starting point, is two board. Because one of the first things they gotta understand is that they're not gonna be able to have this 8 people on their social service board, like, they've got a lot of people on there. It's only 1 or 2 commissioners, right?
I think it's two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that might be coming down the pike, basically, but at the end of the day, the state, we're not gonna have a clue how it's gonna shake out till the end of the legislative session is what it comes down to on the zones and how the structure of the redesign is gonna work. But we felt as a commission, or as a board last night, that if we don't start talking to other entities, whether it's Benson County or Nelson County or whoever it might be, before we know exactly what's gonna happen come April or May, then we're gonna be behind the 8 ball at that point, because it's gonna take some time to get stuff kind of put together if we decide we wanna do anything. And basically, the original redesign has a September 1 deadline for getting that stuff together. So we could be talking, oh, okay, they gavel out on May 1st and say, this is how it's going, and we haven't even talked to anybody yet, and then you gotta have it together in 3 months? No. So we decided we better start talking now before we get forced to do something without even having the discussions, so.
They don't have a director over there right now, and the person that probably in charge that reports to the commission, she was in the hallway with me this morning, and I'm familiar with her, and she started visiting with me, and she was all in favor of it. So I thought that was a great first step.
And they already lean on us to a point for some supervision and stuff like that, or one of their workers and things of that nature, just because they don't have a director and they need somebody to supervise, so we've had an MOU with them, and so it makes sense, but we still have to, sit down and talk about it, so that'll be the goal.
That'll be interesting.
So, more news to come. Okay, anything else?
Move to adjourn.